Hey everyone, welcome to Echoes from the Basement, an X-Files podcast. I'm your host, Alice, and each week I revisit a classic episode of The X-Files while sharing my take on the strange and mysterious adventures of Agents Scully and Mulder. And who knows, I might even make a believer out of you. Hey everyone, welcome back. I just want to say thank you for the 100 streams, and let's keep going. Let's grow the podcast some more. You guys being for Halloween as well, just a thought. I was thinking that my husband and I can go as the hunters from Bloodborne, but maybe if that is too much work, we'll just go as Wart and Greg from Over the Garden Wall. I made our costumes last year all by myself, and I've never done something like that before, but they came out amazingly, and we went to a Halloween party, and everybody loved them. So, Summerween. Start thinking about it. I guess it's never too early. We are now in Ghost in the Machine, episode 7. It takes place in Crystal City, West Virginia, and the Echo Worldwide Headquarters. That's EURISKO. I hope I'm saying it right. We all know what happens in West Virginia. It's not only for lovers, but the Mothman lives there, and he'll steal your Cadillac converter. Okay, we're brought to a corporate building where two men are arguing over something. One guy's got glasses. He's kind of disheveled. The other guy is his boss. The guy with the glasses, his name is Brad. The other guy is named Benjamin Drake, and he's firing Brad and saying that he can no longer work for the company, even though at one point Brad owned the company. So maybe he was bought out by Drake, and maybe they are just fighting over some sort of creative differences. Brad leaves dramatically. He storms out, slams the door. Now it's nighttime, and Drake, the boss, is working on his report. He's kind of giving an insight to us, what he's writing about having to fire Brad and canceling the COS project that they were working on. But the voice we are hearing isn't Drake talking. It's actually somebody else talking. We see a camera that's recording him, and we see like the video feed from that camera, and the machine is actually analyzing the info and reading it off to us, and Drake is just unaware the whole time. So he gets up, he said, "It's time for me to clock out," but he has a personal bathroom, and if that doesn't say rich, I don't know what does. He goes to the bathroom, he hears this water running, and he investigates. He moseys on into the bathroom, the sink's running, he's like, how the heck did this get turned on? He shuts it off, there's water pooling in the sink, there's water on the floor, it's everywhere, and then all of a sudden, the phone rings. So he has a straight up bathroom phone, which is kind of weird, but I guess if you're that high up in a company, you just need a bathroom phone. You gotta take some important calls. The door closes. The lights shut off. Nobody was on the phone. It was kind of just an automated message. He's like, what the hell's going on here? He tries to use his key card to slide into the door, but that doesn't work. It's denied. He then tries to use his key. So he puts the key into the door, and he is electrified and flies back into the mirror. He's dead. We see that the camera watches all of this and watches how Drake dies on the screen. And we find out that the system that was watching Drake this whole time is called the COS, and it deleted the file of Drake dying. Now we're at FBI headquarters. There's some agents walking around. It's probably just a normal day for them. Another agent is looking for Mulder. His name is Jerry. They start talking, Mulder and Jerry, and Mulder introduces Jerry to Scully. We get some lore about Mulder and Jerry. They worked in the violent crime sector. They were partners. Jerry decides, hey, let me buy you guys lunch. I have something to share with you. They go into the basement, and he gives them the details of Drake's murder. He needs some help. He is like, why would this guy be electrocuted? Like, That's so strange. I could really use your help, Scully and Mulder. It seems like Drake's death was a trap, because why would somebody choose to kill a person in that manner? It's extremely hard. Mulder shockingly refuses. He said, no, it's okay. Jerry pleads to Mulder. He said, please, 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 please help me out here. I really need it. My career is on the line. He's begging. He's at his last resort. This is all Jerry. The lore between Jerry and Mulder is that they had a partnership. Mulder was like, man, I was kind of a pain in the ass, and we just kind of had different career goals. Jerry wanted the 5th floor. I wanted the basement. Now, what lore? Well, Mulder is explaining the lore between him and his friend. The camera is watching them and following them. The camera is actually posted in like a corner of the room. It's their security camera. The whole reason Jerry's career is kind of rocky is that he misplaced a piece of evidence when he was working on a case in Atlanta. I think he sent something to the dry cleaners, and it ended up having a judge lose his right hand and eye because Jerry could not find the evidence in time. He's almost at the point where he's gonna get fired. He's the underdog. He needs to get a W essentially to keep working for the FBI. Scully and Mulder go onto the elevator. The cameras watch them because, of course, it's all part of a security system. They're talking on the elevator, just chit-chatting about Jerry some more. And the elevator is saying what floor they're on, what floor they're going to. It's counting the floors. The elevator stops and they get stuck. Personally, I don't like elevators to begin with, so this would be my worst nightmare. Scully uses the emergency phone that is provided within the elevator to ask for help, but the elevator kind of starts up on its own again. She hangs up, but get this, the camera watches the whole time and pulls all the info that Agent Scully said into its own database to essentially look her up. It says Dana Scully, this time, where she's at. The camera picked up all her personal information. So Mulder and Scully go to the crime scene at that corporate office we mentioned before. Scully is speaking with Jerry about how did Drake die? It seems like somebody tampered with the controls on his door. It must be that every time somebody goes in and out of the door, it auto locks. They are trying to figure out how Drake died when there are no fingerprints, no nothing at this crime scene to indicate otherwise. A person would have had to tamper with the control systems manually. They would have to override the COS central operating system that runs the whole building. It regulates everything from phone calls to security, etc. We're introduced to Claude Peterson, the building engineer, and he was the one that discovered Drake's body. Mulder asked Claude if he could have overridden the system. Claude says, I could have, and really anybody could have, but it would be extremely hard to break. You have to figure out what the access codes are. Mulder says, well, we need a list of people who could possibly override that system. The camera's watching them the whole time, and we can see the video footage on another screen. Mulder says, Claude, would you be on this list? Could you override the systems? Claude says, no, I couldn't because I'm a low-level person. I don't have the skills to override a system such as this. Then Mulder proceeds to ask about the system itself. He says, does it monitor phone calls? Claude says, yes, everything's on a video screen. Jerry asks, why does it control the phone lines? What's up with that? It's just all part of the system. Mulder discovers that the bathroom phone is off the hook. Somebody didn't put the phone on the hook right. Mulder decides that Drake had to be talking to somebody before he died. Now we're back at the FBI HQ, home of Scully and Mulder. Agent Scully enters the basement office looking for Mulder, and he is just digging through his office looking for some profile notes he wrote about the case. Scully says, your office is a big, huge mess. You gotta wrap it up here. We're late for a meeting. Mulder's like, I put them somewhere. Maybe we'll just never find these notes. I get it. My house eats everything too. I'll never find anything here sometimes. Scully, Mulder, and Jerry are in a meeting with some other agents kind of discussing the case at hand. They're trying to make a profile of the alleged killer. Jerry says this person that killed Drake, they killed him in the most hardest way possible. They set up some type of trap to avoid detection and any connection with Drake in general. Jerry is reading off of Mulder's missing profile notes. Scully is obviously shocked in the meeting, and Mulder says, it's cool, like, just forget about it. Personally, I would be really mad. I would not have been cool about it. Jerry plays the phone call that Drake got during the time of his death. It is a automatic call, I guess you can say. It says Eastern Standard Time is 7:35 when Drake died. But why would Drake call for the time from his building? It seems that somebody needed/wanted Drake to pick up that phone. They needed to ensure that he was going to be there and their actions were going to lead to Drake's death. The lead agent on the case says, "Great work, Jerry. You're one of our finest agents. Way to go. Gold star for you." Mulder, who was originally cool about the whole situation, he's pissed. He confronts Jerry and says, "WTF, mate, that was my profile. Why did you steal it from me?" Jerry says, "Oh, I thought you wouldn't mind. Like, I don't really feel like it's a big deal. Like, whatever." Mulder grabs Jerry by his collar and says, "Why did you just take my notes if they didn't matter at all? You could have literally just wrote your own notes. You stole it off my desk, and you stole it from my office, and you essentially stole my work." Jerry says, "Well, you're just like helping me out like I asked, and this is just part of it." Jerry's clearly a jerk and a bad friend. Scully arrives and asks, what did he say? What did Jerry do? Did he say anything to you? Mulder says he just apologized in his own way. Mulder looks disappointed. I kind of feel like Mulder is coming around to the fact that Jerry is a bad friend. Claude gave the list to Scully and Mulder of people who could override the system. He gave it to them. The only name on that list is Brad's, the guy from the beginning. He knows Drake and is also known that Brad hates Drake. They are enemies. But Mulder thinks that that's too obvious. And his motive would be that, hey, he hates him. Why not kill him? But he doesn't really match the profile that they came up with. Scully and Mulder go to Brad's home. They gotta question him. He's got a sick-ass house. He's got some cars, some bikes. He's obviously super duper rich. A camera watches as Scully and Mulder walk to the door and knock on it. The camera videos it all. We can see it on another video screen. Brad answers the door, and Scully and Mulder are like, "Oh, hey, we're from the FBI." And Brad is like, "Okay, well, what took you guys long? I've been waiting." He invites them in. So now we're inside Brad's home. Brad kind of goes on this tangent about the scientific community and how there are only two types of people in this community. We have the neat versus the scruffy. So neat people are like Drake, who come to work, he wears a tie, he's probably showered, and he kind of wants to make the money off this technology. But Brad is kind of scruffy, he's disheveled, and he is in it for the discovery of more and more information and technology. We get some more about the company I mentioned before, Eurasico, I want to say it's called. The company was started by Brad when he was 22 in his parents' garage. He also mentions that he followed the Grateful Dead before he started developing this technology in this company. He talks to them about what does Eurasico mean. It means to discover things. And I, Brad, wanted to discover more stuff, and that's what I wanted to use this technology for. But Drake, on the other hand, he was power hungry and just wanted to continue to make money off my technology. He also shows him his smart home that sees and watches everything. I would kind of compare it to a Ring. The setup of cameras, having a camera in every room, but the only thing is that he had a whole map of like where everything was. Brad says, me and Drake, we could have been better than Microsoft, but he just had to kill it. He had to kill the COS program that we were working on. Now we're thinking, okay, Brad's motive is that he wanted to stop Drake from not funding this program anymore and firing him. Mulder says, well, is this the same technology you guys use in your corporate building? And Brad says, yeah, but mine's just kind of slightly different. It's made for the home. Mulder says, well, who could override this system? Brad says, not many people could. I mean, you do have hackers. He said some other stuff that I really didn't know what it was. But it's possible? Yes. Scully turns around because, she's a bad bitch and says, well, you could have done it, right? Brad says, yeah, of course I could. That's why you guys are here. That's why you guys think I'm a suspect. Because that's my motive. I could override the system and kill Drake. He's like, it's just a puzzle, no big deal. I didn't commit murder. We then see Scully is writing her report at home about Brad. Kind of how he's like a super evil genius, you could say. She shuts off the light, leaves her computer, and probably is going to bed. Her computer turns on by itself and scans and processes all of Scully's report that she has written. Pretty creepy. We're back at the FBI HQ, where Scully and Mulder are listening to some cassette tapes about Brad. He's making these speeches. Jerry comes in, and Mulder says, Scully, give me 1 sec, please. Jerry says, please, help me, Mulder, help me. I screwed up. Mulder says, you could have just asked for my notes. Like, that, we're friends. I would always help you. Jerry says, well, my career is almost over. He essentially gives him this, sad story to Mulder. Mulder says, well, that case in Atlanta, you just really had bad luck. You'll get back on your feet. You're a great agent. Jerry says, I don't really think that's going to happen. I really need this win. And, of course, I would get in trouble if I screwed up on the case, but you wouldn't, Mulder. You're the perfect agent. I really think that Jerry is jealous of Mulder. I mean, rightfully so, because it seems like Mulder is the only person that does their job. I'm just putting that out there. I kind of also think that Mulder is unaware that he's a superstar in the FBI. He just thinks he's this weird guy, but he's clearly a top level agent. Scully interrupts them and she's like, come here, come take a look on this computer. They have an audio identification system that identifies different speech patterns. Scully takes the recording that Drake heard before he died and compares it to the lectures Brad made that were on the cassette tapes. They are a match. Both voices are him. One of them is the one that Drake received. And Scully says, well, you can always change your voice, but you can't change to the way that you speak. Scully decides Brad did kill Drake. She says, I'm gonna need a warrant. Jerry, you need to go check on Brad and see what he's up to. We gotta go and arrest him. Mulder's kind of like, no, Jerry, let me go with you. And he was like, no, I gotta do this on my own. All right. We're at Brad's house now. He's working on something on his computer. And his, work area is surrounded by water, which is really cool. He works on, an island in his home. Brad's trying to get access to some controls, but he keeps getting denied. He takes off and Jerry follows him. We're in the Oresco building. I hope I'm saying that right. I looked it up before, but oh well. Brad, he's zooming in. He's got somewhere to be. The camera follows him the whole time. He gets in the elevator looking very nervous and sweaty. Then Jerry arrives. The camera also follows him. Brad is in his own office working on something and he gets access to the COS system. That's what he was working on the whole time. He needed access to that particular system. The system turns around and says, welcome, Brad. We find out that the COS system is not supposed to have a voice, and it kind of just starts rebelling against Brad. It has a mind of its own. Jerry is in the elevator this whole time coming to get Brad. The camera is watching him and is projected on Brad's computer screen. The elevator's going up. Everything is normal. Brad starts freaking out. The elevator malfunctions while Jerry is in it, and Brad is forced to watch. The elevator opens to a wall. So Jerry is in the elevator. He's going up. We're seeing it on Brad's computer screen, and it opens up to a wall. Jerry is confused. He probably just thinks that the elevator is broken, but instead the elevator comes crashing down. Pretty sure Jerry dies because of this. and it was all because of the COS system. We're back at FBI HQ. Mulder is watching Jerry's elevator footage. He's also watching the footage of Brad. So Brad is watching the video of Jerry on his computer and his screen, and Brad is also trying to stop it as he's basically watching Jerry die. This was all captured on another camera as well. That's part of the system. Scully comes in and tries to console Mulder about Jerry, but Mulder's not really having it. He was kind of thinking, why would Brad go back to his old workplace? He's a smart guy. Couldn't he have just figured out whatever he was doing on his own computer? Just doesn't make sense. Scully says, well, maybe he was trying to destroy evidence. Mulder says, well, why would he pose for the camera then? Because in the footage, Brad clearly stops and watches Jerry fall to his death, essentially. Scully says, well, I'm gonna try to console you some more. I think you're just thinking about Jerry's death too much. But Mulder says, no, I think this is way too smart for Brad. I don't really think it's him. Scully turns around and says, well, whatever you think about Brad, it doesn't really matter because he just signed a confession. Now we're at Brad's house. Mulder's pulling up to the scene. There are some agents there. They have kind of cordoned off Brad's house so nobody can enter. There's crime scene tape everywhere. Mulder gets out of his car. They say, you can't be here, Mulder. But Mulder says, yes, I can. I have access to this area. They say, no, sir, you need a higher clearance. So you need to get back in your car and turn around. Mulder is like, huh? Excuse me? And just gets back into his car. He's like, what the heck? We see Mulder is waiting outside. Guess who he is waiting for? It's Deep Throat. And he is pissed. Deep Throat turns around to Mulder and says, look, do you remember our agreement? I am the one who knocks. I call upon you. You don't call me, and we don't meet in a busy area in broad daylight. They keep walking and talking. Mulder asks Deep Throat, what do they want with Brad's house? Why is this a Code 5 investigation? What does the Department of Defense want with him? Referring to Brad. Deep Throat says, well, his program and his software are very valuable. The thing is, Brad refused any contracts involving weapons. Brad essentially invented AI in the X-Files universe. Deep Throat talks about, do you remember when a chess computer beat a grandmaster? That was all Brad. He developed the system. He made AI, and the DoD wants it because it can learn. They want it and use it for their own purposes. Mulder visits Brad in jail, asks, why would you spend the rest of your life in prison for a crime you didn't commit? Brad goes on this big huge spiel about how, it's immoral. Well, really, he doesn't want to share his creation with an immoral government. Mulder says, you're just protecting the machine. Mulder also talks about how the machine killed Drake and Jerry, and that it wasn't really Brad's fault, it's all the machine. Brad kind of says, sorry, I guess. Mulder shouts back, well, you're afraid of the government, but you're not going to accept that your machine is a killer? Are you serious? So he's talking about, well, you think the government's immoral. You're immoral because your machine just, killed 2 people and you don't even want to take responsibility for it. Okay, whatever. Brad says, well, this is the lesser of 2 evils. Mulder says, well, can't you just tell me how to destroy it instead? Because why would you go to jail when you can just delete the whole program? Scully and Mulder are talking about how Brad can create a virus to destroy the whole COS system. Scully says, well, I think all of that, what Brad was saying, was just an alibi. He's just trying to blame the machine for his own actions. Mulder says, well, that's the only thing that makes sense. The machine killed Drake to preserve itself. Mulder is insisting that the AI became sentient and tried to preserve itself because Drake was going to shut it down. So it's all an idea of survival, right? Scully says, no, that's impossible because, of course, she always thinks everything is impossible. Mulder is like, yeah, but if it was that impossible, why is the government trying to use Brad's research then? Scully kind of brushes Mulder off and says, I just really think You're thinking about Jerry and not finding actual answers to his death. She completely just blows him off. She's like, whatever, go do your thing. Mulder leaves. We're in Brad's jail cell now. Mulder walks in and talks to Brad about making some sort of virus to stop the AI and to end it now. He also hands Brad a laptop to work on. We're now in Scully's apartment. She's sleeping and gets a call out of nowhere at like 2 a.m. She hears some computer screeching noises and she runs to her computer. Her computer is typing stuff on its own. Scully is scared and is like, what the heck is going on? She's probably really confused. She quickly thinks about it and decides to call the FBI HQ. And she's like, look, I need you to trace my number because somebody is messing with my computer. They're trying to get into my information here. We don't know if it's Brad or it's the AI doing this. We're unsure. We're back at the Oresco building. Mulder is back and he meets up with Agent Scully. So they meet here at Brad's old work. Scully tapped the source and it was coming from inside the building. Mulder says it has to be the machine. Scully says, how are we going to get in? He is like, I got an idea. Big dome. He takes a company license plate out that belongs to this specific company, puts it on his car, and he says, get in, loser. You're getting in the building. The machine scans their plate, is like good to go. Mulder's probably thinking like, oh, the machine's smart, but not that smart because it just let us in. Here's the thing though, Scully and Mulder drive into the building, but the machine stops them by dropping a gate on their car, like one of those steel cage gates. Scully and Mulder say, F it, we're gonna enter anyway, even though the machine knows that we are here. Scully and Mulder decide to take the stairs because why would we take an elevator when the AI is trying to kill us? The camera follows them the whole time. The lights shut off while they're going up the stairs, but Mulder brings his trusty flashlight and they continue up. I wonder if now I should be carrying a flashlight at all times. The camera's still tracking them this whole time. Now, Scully and Mulder try to enter the door. Everything has like a key card technology around it. So like to get in and to get out, you have to like slide your key card. Mulder takes out his screwdriver and he's like, I'm not trying to, die how Drake died. I'm gonna put this screwdriver in instead of a key. He does, and all these sparks start flying. Mulder sees that the camera is tracking him and Scully. He decides, I'm going to cover it so the machine really doesn't know where we are. They decide as well, Scully and Mulder, that Scully needs to go through the vents to get on the opposite side of the door so she can open it. This whole time, she's crawling through the vents. Scully is crawling through the vents with, flashlight in hand. Meanwhile, Mulder is just kind of waiting outside the door. But something happens. Claude comes out of the other side and says, Mulder, what are you doing here? Scully is still trying to go through the vents, but all of a sudden the fan turns on, making it harder for her to crawl. She's coughing, she's struggling, there's paper and wind everywhere, she can't see anything. Scully is literally getting blown away. She grips the side of the vent and hangs on, but she lets go and plummets into the fan. She grabs another edge and is holding on for dear life. She drops the flashlight during all of this. Claude and Mulder go into Brad's office, and Claude says the machine's really been acting up. I'm not too sure what's really happening. It's going crazy. Mulder puts the flash drive with the virus into the machine. Or no, there was no virus in it. It's just, I think, to gain access into the machine. Into the port, to gain access. So Mulder puts the flash drive into the machine to gain access to its system. During this, Scully is still hanging on for dear life. She's trying to shoot the fan and the battery so that the fan stops. Where does Mulder think Scully is this whole time? Like, did he just forget about her? Like, what was he thinking? She's hanging on for dear life, and he's just like, let me just gain access to the computer. Okay. Mulder takes the disc, tries to put it inside the computer. It's the virus, but plot twist, Claude is holding a gun to him. He has been wanting access to this machine for 2 years. He says, take out your gun and remove your clip, Mulder. Mulder says, are you working for the DOD? Claude basically says yes and that they want the computer. Mulder says, here you go. hands Claude his wallet, and Scully is standing there holding her gun to Claude. Scully says, "Drop the gun, Claude. You're making a huge mistake. You don't even know what you're dealing with." Claude turns around and says to her, "You don't know what you're dealing with." It's like a whole Spider-Man pointing meme. Mulder says, "Scully, don't listen to him. This machine is a monster. We both know it because we're always on the same side." Scully says, "Yep, we're gonna upload that virus." The AI kind of screams out and is like, "No!" The virus also left no trace of the AI at all. I guess it's presumed to be dead. The camera turns off. There's no trace. We kind of find out that there is nothing left of the AI from Claude. Like, he's still investigating it because, he works for the DLD. Is it dead though? Because at the end, we see the camera light turn on once again. Now, my question for you guys is, do you think AI will eventually turn on us? Will technology be so superior one day that it might destroy us in the process? Kind of like the Terminator or the Matrix? Let me know your feelings down below. My thoughts are, how do you think people viewed the use of AI now? Also, this episode is not really my top 5 of favorites. When I watched it the first time, fell asleep, but I digress. I just personally think that the machine in the episode is just a glorified ring camera, but I also wonder, could our technology eventually become something like that? Let me know what you guys think in the comments, and then also, should we continue to use AI? But thanks for listening, all you truth seekers, abductee, and X-Files enthusiasts. Be sure to like, subscribe, and share the show. And remember, the truth is out there. You just have to find it.